Hey there, I'm back. Welcome to the Bernie Miklasz Show, otherwise known as the Bernie Show, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. In fact, a little later when I talk about DraftKings, I got a recommendation for you if you're playing DraftKings Fantasy, Pick Six Fantasy. I do. I have a recommendation, and it's close to home. Anyway, as you know, I've been covering St. Louis sports since 1985 here at STL Sports Central. Monday through Friday, I do a total of 10 videos and columns over the 5 days, 5 columns, 5 videos. So I love my new home. I love churning out the content for you. You can also catch me with Randy Carricker on the Randy Carricker Show on Friday mornings around 10:30. I am a frequent guest or contributor to KMOX. I do. I joined Katie Wu on the Cardinal Territory podcast video a couple times a week, and I do my weekly Seeing Red podcast on the Cardinals with my friend Will Leach. All right, today's topic: the Cardinals are pathetic against left-handed pitching, as we know, and it's something that I've been talking about for quite a while now, and I'm glad to see everyone else kind of catching up on that, because this is not like a new problem. All right. It just isn't. It's been going on all season, but it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And one of the big reasons why the Cardinals are so pathetic against left-handed pitching is the faulty roster construction by President of Baseball Operations, John Mozeliak. Big shocker there, right? Here are the stats you need to know as I record this on Thursday. This season, Cardinals left-handed hitters have taken more plate appearances versus left-handed pitching than any team in the majors. So if you're struggling against left-handed pitchers, especially left-handed starters, the fact that you're putting so many left-handed hitters up to the plate against them, you are at a tremendous disadvantage right from the get-go. But the Cardinals have an overload of left-handed bats. They don't have enough balance in the lineup. Mozeliak puts the roster together. I mean, people can try to blame whoever the hell they want to blame, but this comes down to roster construction. And by the way, the manager doesn't set the roster. Just, that's been going on. That's been known forever. But for some reason, there are people, because I hear from them, who think that somehow Ollie Marmol's making roster decisions. Ooh, boy. Anyway, it's not a good thing to have so many left-handed at-bats against left-handed pitchers. Why do I say that? Well, this season, Cardinals left-handed hitters, when they face left-handed pitchers, are batting .201. They have a slugging percentage under 300. And if we use the fancy pants metric that I like, WRC+, which is adjusted runs created, the St. Louis left-handed hitters, when they face left-handed pitchers, are 31% below the league average offensively. And those left-handed hitters, when they face lefty pitchers, only have 8 home runs and 407 at-bats against them. That's an average of 1 homer every 51 at-bats. So, yeah, it's a big problem. It's a big problem when the other team sets up the, upcoming series against Cardinals by trying to cram as many left-handed starters in the rotation as they can, because the Cardinals got all these left-handed bats because they have too many of them. Along those lines, I mean, the other teams aren't idiots. What do you think they're going to do in their pitching plans against the Cardinals, right? If at all possible, the easy answer is, well, throw lefties at him and throw more lefties at him and throw other lefties at him. And it's working. Not every single time, but it's working. And we've seen that a lot. I should say we've seen more of that, right? Since Ivan Herrera suffered a hamstring injury on June 19th, it was placed on the injured list. So, yeah, this is a factor for sure. Since June the 20th, that's when Herrera went on the IL. All left-handed pitchers have a 2.15 ERA against the Cardinals, and left-handed starters have dominated the Redbirds since June 20th for a 1.43 ERA. Now, I gave you the stuff on Herrera. Of course it's a factor, but let's not get carried away here, right? because it's not anything new. It's worse. More recently, it's worse, sure. But lefties have been giving the Cardinals problems even before Herrera went on the IL for the second time this season. This has been kind of a season-long issue. This season, entire season, left-handed starting pitchers have a 3.56 ERA against the Cardinals. That's really good based on, the overall major league starting pitcher ERA for the season. But during this team's, the Cardinals 17-20 downturn, that's their record since May the 30th. Since May the 30th, left-handed starting pitchers have shut down the Cardinals with a 2.98 ERA because they're feasting on all those easy outs that come with a primary left-handed lineup. And there's another factor there too, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Now, the factor is it's not like the Cardinals' right-handed hitters beat up lefties. A couple guys do, but it's not like the Cardinals' right-handed bats are going to town against lefties, and which should be a huge advantage. It's not, and that's a big problem as well. Maybe the issue is they just don't have enough talent, right? Here's another eye-opening stat for you. Since May the 30th, there have been 9 left-handed starters that have made 10 starts against the Cardinals. The reason it's 10 starts is because Matthew Boyd made 2. So the 9 starters are Mackenzie Gore, Andrew Abbott, Shota Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, Clayton Kershaw, Noah Cameron, Andrew Haney, Eric Lauer, and Patrick Corbin. In those 10 starts, including Mackenzie Gore last night, those 9 pitchers collectively allowed 6 earned runs in 56 innings. That's a 0.96 ERA. The Cardinals were pretty futile against those dudes, especially Imanaga, Kershaw, Boyd, Abbott, Cameron, Gore, and Haney. Those guys I just mentioned, in their 7 combined starts since May 30th, that group of guys I just mentioned, those lefties, have given up only 2 earned runs in 39 2/3 innings. That's a 0.45 ERA. So the reason I'm bringing that to your attention and getting down to the finer point of this is absolutely not having Herrera there is a negative because he kills left-handed pitching. However, the people they have, even when Herrera has been out of the lineup, the people they have should be able to do more than score 6 earned runs in 56 innings against that long list of left-handed starters. So it's like the usual thing in St. Louis, what we all like to do, not me, but I've been guilty of it in the past. No, we always go, well, poor Cardinals. They don't have Herrera. Oh, poor Cardinals. It's so unfair. And the thing of it is, I track injuries all the time. I have a site that tracks injuries. And you hear, like, if you paid attention to the rest of the St. Louis media, you would think that, all the other teams never have an injured player. When in fact, the Cardinals and the Phillies have been the 2 teams this season least impacted by injuries. And yet there's so much whining about, Herrera's out. And I want to note it because it's a factor, and I'd be ignorant not to mention it. But there are much larger issues here. And yeah, you know what? The other players got guys hurt too. Oh, by the way, and the other thing I'm sick of hearing about. Oh, we're tired. We're beat up. It's been a tough stretch. All 30 teams have these type of stretches. They all get tired. They all get beat up. Why is that such a St. Louis narrative that is perpetuated by the media in this town? It just drives me nuts. And so I got it off my chest. Now I feel better. Anyway, the Cardinals' futility against left-handed starting pitching, and all left-handed pitching really, but especially the starting pitch, it's embarrassing. And the ultimate responsibility is on John Mozeliak. For the simple reason, as I mentioned before, he's the boss and he put this roster together. So therefore, he's responsible for it. I want to get more into that after this break. So I will have one more segment after I let you know about DraftKings and their daily pick six game. And if you think you know ball, then put that baseball brain power to use and win some big cash prizes through the daily pick six fantasy contest game at DraftKings. In DraftKings, pick six, you just focus on player stats, select anywhere from 2 to 6 players, and choose whether the individual player or pitcher will go higher or lower on a specific stat line set for his next game by DraftKings, which brings me to the thing I mentioned earlier. I got one for you to think about. It has to do with one of your favorite Cardinals pitchers of all time, he said sarcastically. Thursday night, the Cardinals start Miles Mikolas against a Washington lineup that is stacked with left-handed hitters. In fact, no team in the majors this season has more at-bats by left-handed hitters against the Nationals. Mikolas, a right-hander, has been punished by left-handed bats for a .295 average, a .526 slugging percentage, and 10 home runs. Okay, now, so here's what you should take a hard look at if you are playing DraftKings Pick 6. Do you think Miles Mikolas will allow more than 4.5 hits to the Nationals Thursday? That's the DraftKings line for him, 4.5 hits. So if you think this left-handed hitting heavy Washington lineup will get at least 5 hits, that's all it would take, 5 hits against Mikolas, then you go with the higher option when you make your play. If you think Mikolas will have something pulled together, I don't know, or the Nationals will just be bad, I don't know. And if you think he'll allow no more than 4 hits, then you should go with the lower option to play. Yep, that's it. It's that simple, and it's a lot of fun, and I like looking at different matchups to see who I want to play each night as far as going over or under. It's a lot of fun, so get in the game and take your best shot at winning money. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. You'll enjoy tracking your selected players while the games are in progress, but the most entertaining part of all is winning at DraftKings. It's easy to get going. The DraftKings app is fantastic. It gives you good information to help you make your choices. So just download the DraftKings app, open an account, then choose a sport, pick your players, and get after it. New players at DraftKings get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly with just a $5 entry. So download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Do it ASAP and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5 but gets $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, here we go. Second segment of Thursday's Bernie Show. Thanks for staying with me here. For added emphasis, I want to repeat something I said earlier. This season, the Cardinals' left-handed hitters have taken the most plate appearances in the majors against left-handed pitching. Usually, lefty versus lefty is a huge advantage for the pitchers. It's like lefty on lefty crime, right? That's been true for a long time. And so obviously, because the Cardinals are sending more left-handed hitters to the plate against left-handed pitchers than any team in the majors, that is going to be a real issue for the Cardinals. And that is, in fact, the key step behind the Redbirds' futility against left-handed pitchers this season, especially starting pitchers. As you might imagine, the Cardinals' right-handed hitters are more effective against left-handed pitchers, but there's some problems with that. It's not as good as you think, is what I'm going to get to. That's basically the conclusion. Number one, the Cardinals rank 15th in the majors in plate appearances made by right-handed bats against left-handed pitchers. And so other teams can load the lineup with right-handed bats going against a lefty. We see that all over the place, but the Cardinals do not have a deep supply of good right-handed hitters for those matchups. And they have too many left-handed hitters in general. They don't have the balance you need. But I see some of the better hitting teams just stacking their lineups with right-handed hitters against lefty pitchers, and they do very well. The Cardinals don't have firepower to do that. A couple exceptions, of course. It's amazing to me, put it to you this way about this imbalance. It's amazing to me that the Cardinals right-handed hitters only have about 180 more at-bats against lefties than the team's left-handed hitters. Because normally what you do is you stay away from those lefty versus lefty matchups. It doesn't work to your advantage. But what choice does Oli Marmol have? Because doesn't have good right-handed hitting. He doesn't have a deep supply of right-handed hitting, and he does have an overload of left-handed bats. So that's why there's not much of a gap in between, who takes the most at bats against left-handed pitching. There needs to be more balance, but this roster does not have that. It's amazing. So that part's amazing. All right, number 2, let me say this. The Cardinals right-handed bats, I alluded to this, they aren't exactly blasting lefties this season. Only 2 of their regular season right-handed starters who, I was going to say right-handed hitters who play regularly. Only 2 of those guys are performing above the league average offensively against left-handed pitchers. The 2 are Ivan Herrera and also Wilson Contreras. And even then, Herrera has played in only 42 of the team's first 93 games because of injuries. And among the other right-handed batters, only part-time player Yoel Pozo has put up good numbers against lefties. Although other than that huge home run, and that was a huge home run at Wrigley Field on that Saturday. But other than that, he hadn't gotten as much done against lefties in recent weeks. But Oli Marmol's trying to do what he can, and that's why he's been using Pozo for more at-bats at the DH spot when they face a lefty. That's exactly what he should be doing. As a group, the Cardinals' right-handed bats are only 2% above the league average against left-handed pitching this season. Oh, my gosh. I mean, you say, well, it's above average, but it's terrible. In other words, you don't really have a platoon split advantage when you have right-handed hitters against their lefty pitchers. Again, you need a more balanced lineup with more good right-handed hitters. You need more dudes, as I like to say. And that would make opponents pay for running lefty after lefty after lefty at you, knowing that it's easy pickings. This season, Mason Wynn, Nolan Arenado, Pedro Pages, Jordan Walker, Thomas Jacey are all below league average offensively against left-handers. One bench guy who did a decent, nice job early in the season against lefties was Luken Baker. He is kind of a cult hero here in St. Louis. But Luken Baker, he hadn't played for the Cardinals since May the 7th. They sent him down, and since they sent him down, he's really been struggling at Memphis. The Big Luke's got a 196 batting average and a really mediocre slugging percentage since going down to Memphis. I haven't looked at his splits there as far as what he's doing against lefty. I guess they could bring Luken Baker up, but with Herrera coming back, once again, it's like, well where would he fit? Would he even play much, right? Because now that you're going to want to, never mind. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here. So let me move on. Number 3, the Cardinals' left-handed batters have done very well against right-handed pitching, as they should. That's one of the reasons why, I think the Cardinals wanted to be well fortified with left-handed bats. But they've gone too far with it. And they also underestimated other teams' abilities to throw left-handed pitchers to kind of negate or nullify or neutralize left-handed hitters. I did a note on this a while back. It was a long time back, and I don't have the info in front of me. And I would ask you to trust me for this because I studied it and came up with the numbers. I have to update the numbers at some time, and I will. But this is kind of the year of the left-handed pitcher. Going way back, this is one of the top 2 or 3 seasons in terms of performance by left-handed pitchers in a long time. Left-handed pitching is really good and really strong, and there's more of it in Major League Baseball in 2025. So it's okay to think, well, you take about 70% of your plate appearances in a normal season, against right-handed pitchers, right-handed starters. So yeah, let's stack up the left-handed bats. I mean, I sort of get that, but the visibility of left-handed pitchers, the supply and the volume of left-handed pitchers has been steadily increasing. You got to look at that as well. But anyway, for whatever it's worth, Cardinals left-handed batters have done well against right-handed pitching. That group, in fact, ranks fourth in the majors against right-handed pitching at 25% above the league average, based it on WRC+. Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, Lars Nootbaar, Nolan Gorman are all above average against right-handed pitchers this year. And Victor Scott's only a tick, just 2% below league average against them. So, okay, they're doing their part. They're doing a job against right-handed pitchers. They're doing a good job, but that's not the problem. Even though they're doing, they're doing a good job, the left-handed hitters are doing a really good job against the right-handed pitchers. The problem is managers of the other side are just running left-handers at the Cardinals. And that's how you negate the fact that the Cardinals have left-handed hitters who can damage you if you throw right-handed pitching against them on a frequent basis, right? Oddly enough, the Cardinals ranked 22nd in the majors for most plate appearances taken by left-handed hitters against righty pitchers. And I had to triple check that just to be sure. I said, well, how can that be? Well, if you think back on it, it's a little understandable. First of all, it's the pure overload of having too many left-handed bats, but it also has to do with some of the developments along the way. There was limited playing time for Nolan Gorman over the first 2 months. Left-handed hitter. Alec Burleson, left-handed hitter. He leads the team with the most at-bats against righties since the start of June, but before that, he was sixth among all Cardinals, left-handed, right-handed hitters, switch hitters, whatever. He was sixth among the Cardinals of plate appearances against versus righties. So, since the start of June, Burleson's in there a lot against right-handed pitchers, but before that wasn't always the case. So to an extent, you can say, well, that's on Ollie Marmol, but the so-called runway season mandate from front office is the biggest reason why Burleson wasn't a lineup regular in the first 6 weeks. The runway thing, the thing mandated by the front office, we're got to find out about our youngsters. Remember, that's what the season was supposed to be about. I mean, you can blame Marmol because he gets blamed for everything, and I get it. That's the lazy way out. You don't have to do thinking or research on stuff like that. But once John Mozeliak, and they had their plans, like, listen, we have to find out about Jordan Walker. We got to give him a full opportunity to get him going. So once you did that, and he was your full-time right fielder for the longest time until the injury started to take him out, and then you used Herrera. Herrera was used extensively at DH. There weren't enough at bats to go around for Burleson or even Gorman because he wasn't going to displace Brendan Donovan on a lot of days at second base. But if you got Herrera as your right-handed as a designated hitter, and he hits right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching with just about equal authority, you're not going to use Gorman at DH. You would probably use him more now because he's been really good since May the 26th. But Marmol, because of the runway season edict, was limited in what he could do there. Burleson's playing time increased because of Walker's poor performance and subsequent ailments that has made him a non-factor. And with Herrera having 2 stints on the IL this year, Gorman's been able to take some at-bats at DH, and it's paid off. But what happens when Walker is brought back up, and what happens when Herrera gets back, which will be soon after the All-Star break. But there you go. You're going to have a traffic jam again. And no matter what decisions Marmol makes, he'll either incur the wrath of the fans or he'll incur the wrath of the front office. He's in a tough spot this year. I mean, he's working for a guy who won't even, you realize, at least as I'm recording this, the Cardinals have not decided what they're going to do against the Braves for a starting pitcher because John Mozeliak isn't ready to pull the plug on Eric Fetty, and he's not ready to bring McGreevy up here or keep him up here. So there are times where I almost want to say I don't have any words anymore. I just don't have any words anymore. So when he has the incredibly easy decision on that particular subject, and he's stewing and hemming and hawing, and he can't make a decision. And I assume, the manager and the pitching coach are kind of waiting for John Mozeliak's ruling. My goodness. Anyway, so how do you expect him to make smart and authoritative and aggressive decisions with all the other stuff, the stuff that's a lot more complicated than just understanding that Michael McGreevy should be in the damn rotation instead of Eric Fetty, or for that matter, Miles Michaelis? Hemming and hawing, well, we have to see if we can increase Fetty's trade value. He doesn't have any because you didn't trade him last offseason. Please leave. Let Chaim Bloom handle all of these things for the rest of the season. Of the top 7 Cardinals that have the most plate appearance this season, 4 hit from the left side, and 5 of the 9 with the most at bats hit from the left side. Did Mozeliak go out and add a right-handed bat before the season? No, not really. Whatever. I don't think there are any Mo apologists out there. You say, well, what about Pozo? Well, okay. They wanted to fortify their catching depth. They wanted to have a catcher at AAA. They signed Pozo. In spring training, as Lee Marmol told me the other day on KMOX, the staff was really impressed by Pozo's defensive work. They thought he looked really good behind the plate, and the pitchers liked him. They really weren't thinking about his bat much, although they knew in the minors he hit well. But Pozo really wasn't in the major league mix at all until Herrera got hurt for the first time this season. And with Marmol determined to start the light-hitting Pedro Pages at catcher as much as possible, and the pitchers want to pitch to Pages, Pozo is a part-timer behind the plate. So where are the depth pieces that bat right? Well, they had Jose Barrero. Wow. Mozeliak wouldn't bring up Thomas Saggese. And Saggese has not done much since he's come back, but he still should have gotten the opportunity. But once again, the president of baseball operation, hemming and hawing, well, we really want to give Barrero an opportunity because he can play center field. Actually, as it turned out, Mo, he couldn't. He was awful in center field, okay? The Cardinals will be, and the Garrett Hampson signing was good because I'm not saying he's a great player. He's like the right-handed hitting version of Michael Ciani. He can go get the ball. He's quick. He's fast. He switch hits, plays all 3 outfield position. Not a bad bench piece. It'd be interesting to find out who really made the decision. Hey, you got to get this guy because he's a better version of what we have as a backup. Chaim Bloom. Anyway. The Cardinals will be better against lefties when Herrera returns after the All-Star break, and his numbers against them this season are fantastic. Against lefties, Herrera's hitting .333, and his OPS is 1.189. He's crushed his slugging percentage. It's like 700 something. But because of the injuries, he's only had 57 plate appearances against them this season. The Cardinals, as usual, this is another Mozeliak tradition. They overrate their own talent, and in this case, they overrate their left-handed hitters. No, not in terms of left-handed hitters being able to do a really good job when they're facing right-handed pitching. I just talked about that. But the front office, apparently decided, well, these guys, Newbar can hit lefties. Donovan can hit lefties. We think Burley will be able to hit lefties. Again, talking themselves into something that no one else in baseball would look at and say, oh, yeah, that's right. They overrate their own hitters, all right? They have good left-handed hitters, but they're not good hitters against left-handed pitching. And the Cardinals have overestimated how well several prominent left-handed batters would fare against lefties. And I'll give you their batting averages just to give you an idea. Nootbaar against left-handed pitching, .211 average. But it's much worse. Since the start of June, he's hitting .118 against left-handed pitching. His strikeout rate's 33%. Are they overrating him still? Yes, they are. Brendan Donovan, and the media is so in love with him. And listen, I like him a lot, much respect. But you don't even see anybody mentioning that Donovan has been really poor this year against left-handed pitching. It's like, well, he's our all-star. Oh, we can't talk about that. Why? Why not? I like the guy a lot, man, but he's hitting 204 against left-handed pitchers this year. And since the start of May, Brendan Donovan's hitting 181 against them. And since the start of June, and that's that's a month, and that's about 5.5 weeks ago. Brendan Donovan's hitting 136 against left-handed pitchers since the beginning of June. But you're not going to see that or hear about that anywhere else. Well, he's our all-star. And he's so good. Burleson. I tell you what, the Chuckle Hut, the nightly TV Chuckle Hut broadcast, you would think Burleson batting, because he had a little run there for a while where he was good against left-handed pitching. You would think that this guy is Tony Gwynn now, right? The way the Chuckle Hut crew in their nightly comedy routine during the game just go on and on about Burleson. Well, the thing that people got to understand, Burley's been really good against lefties. He was good for a while, but since the middle of June, he's hitting 143 against left-handed pitching. But never mind me. Get back to the Chuckle Hut. Talk about anything except baseball and laugh, make each other laugh. That's outstanding. Anyway, Gorman is batting 146 against lefties, but at least he's hit a couple of big home runs and he's drawn a lot of walks against lefties since the start of June. But no, to say that he has figured out a way to be much better against left-handed pitching, it's not true. Victor Scott's hitting 205 against lefties, but his average perked up a little bit in June. The right-handed hitting Jordan Walker was in a position to help the Cardinals do more damage against lefties this season, but he's barely hitting 200 against them, and he's got a 37% strikeout rate against them. So that's a big part of the reason. It's another big part of the reason why they've been so ineffective against left-handed hitting pitchers, because Walker should be a weapon against them, and he's the exact opposite. He's a liability against them. Flawed roster construction is nothing new. It's been a Mozeliak staple for many years, and it's a big reason why this offense has one of the lowest, I think it's fourth lowest in the majors in terms of the percentage of platoon split advantages they've used in games, because they have too many left-handed bats and they have some right-handed bats that would be, more prominent, but a guy like Walker doesn't deserve the playing time. And there are too many left-handed bats that are, politely, I'll say, mediocre against left-handed pitching, but most of them are terrible against left-handed pitching. And then there are too many right-handed batters who don't bully lefty pitching enough. The Herrera absence has weakened this group, but I'll repeat, all teams have injuries, so let's put away the Kleenex. Dab your tears, but then put the Kleenex away. With the Cardinals flopping terribly against left-handed pitching with this roster assembled by Mozeliak, opponents have a fairly easy way of just setting it up to shut down the St. Louis offense. Just have your lefty pitchers ready to roll. And most of the time, they're going to put the Cardinals down, and it won't even require all that much effort. And we've seen that a lot lately. Mackenzie Gore last night, 6 innings of 1-run pitching in his team's 8-2 win on Wednesday night. Of course, all we heard on the TV broadcast was, they're taking tough at-bats against him. Yeah, okay. 1 run in 6 innings. In their last 20 losses, the Cardinals have scored 3 runs or less in 80% of those games. And that's a direct reflection on the left-handed bats not being able to do much against all this good left-handed pitching. The Cardinals have another left-handed hitter getting close to St. Louis. His name's J.J. Weatherhold. He's at Memphis. He hit a home run and a triple in his first game at Memphis last night. And there's another left-handed hitting prospect who's picking up steam fast. Outfielder Nathan Church. He is tearing it up at Memphis. He'll be here at some point in 2026. So to state the obvious, the Cardinals will have to thin their collection of left-handed hitters before the start of the 2026 season. And except for Weatherhold, all options should be on the table depending on the interest level in individual left-handed St. Louis hitters. It would be absurd to declare all these guys off limits. Cardinals at least should listen to offers to try to gauge if there's high level of interest in some of these guys or one of these guys or whatever. High level interest in terms of having prominent trade value. I don't know about you, but I would prefer to have Chaim Bloom listening to trade offers about their left-handed hitters than John Mozeliak. And I say this for a simple reason. I am not the smartest man in the world. I mean, I'd be in one of the bottom percentiles, right? I know that. But I can tell you this. I prefer Bloom listening to trade offers than Mozeliak for this reason. I am sane. I haven't completely gone on sane. I am still sane. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching the Bernie Show. Appreciate you all very much. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please leave your comments. Let me have it. I don't care. It's all good. Thanks to DraftKings for presenting the Bernie Show, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.